Hello everyone. In this video, I would like to talk about this one pop culture incident that I did not honestly agree with fully. I feel like it was just an idiotic idea. And this pop culture basically subject is about this one show called American Gods. My problem with what had happened in American Gods is just the fact that one iconic character got basically fired from his position in playing American Gods. And that one character is Mr. Nancy, who was the spider god of the American God series. Now, the lore of the spider god is basically, long story short, Mr. Nancy is more inclined towards like the black or I guess like the pro black or black mythology in American Gods itself. Kind of like how if I had to make quick references real quick, kind of like with the Native Americans, they don't per I don't per se think that they have gods. I think that they basically respect the wilderness itself and respect wildlife and animals as gods per se or spiritual like gods. To also another example would be like basically you have Buddhism who have the Buddhists to also another example would be you have Ireland and their mythology or Celtic mythology towards like Thor to Ragnarok to different things about the whole Thor mythos itself. But aside from all those examples, I like to talk about mainly Mr. Nancy, the Spire God himself. Now, the lore of the Spire God is basically the purpose of the Spire God is basically he's supposed to tell tales of history itself and past. And on top of that, just point out like what's the purpose or what's the moral of the story of every story that he talks about and what like historical past things that he has to talk about and point out about things. Now, why I'm honestly distraught and pissed off about the fact that Mr. Nancy has been like taken off of American Gods itself from not being the spider god is because of the fact of the man, even though it's been only like 2 seasons, the man honestly is the spider god in American Gods. He was the spider god. He made that character. He made the whole point of honestly the only way to get things done is just to get angry while at the same time having like strong momentum of just basically like being have dominance and at the same time have like I guess strong ingenuity into what you're supposed to be doing and what anyone does because by the end of the day, like look, America itself is never going to like help you that much. That's what I feel like that's what his message was in American Gods itself. And honestly, if I had to make an argument for Mr. Nancy, I would strongly arguably say that that's not a negative. That's not a negative like message to have in the show or any type of demographic towards any individual for any type of ethnicity backgrounds. I feel like honestly that type of background, especially if you have a background to where things are unjust like most of the time or unfair all or most of the time, I would say honestly, no, I arguably strongly say that he was in the right. Honestly, when having the message of you in order to think for things to get done and accomplished, you have to get angry and just honestly have strong ingenuity. Now, the only reason why I bring up words like strong ingenuity and dominance into this is because I feel like anger, in a way, in some ways, it can be used in different ways. It can be used whether in a like I guess in a non-productive way to where you're just angry just to be angry about stuff and just take it out on certain things or topics here and there or subjects. And then there are also other ways for you to use anger to where you use it as momentum and use it as a way to motivate you. Kind of like if I had to put in the old saying, I let my haters be my motivators. It's the same thing with Mr. Nazi saying his statement. The only way to get things done is to get angry and just honestly accomplish those things and execute A, B, and C in order to go forth wherever you want to go or accomplish any goal that you want to accomplish by the end of the day in life. Especially as a black person, especially as like, honestly that type of ethnic group in general, because by the end of the day, if I had to be bold enough to say it, honestly the back it's not like black backgrounds had it easy, honestly, in history. Even in American Gods itself, between those first two seasons, they have strongly showed this. They strongly displayed the fact of this. I mean, like around season one, for a good example, when Mr. Nazi was debuted in American Gods itself, dude was literally in a like slave ship, a black history slave ship, like going to America himself, and then that's when his first iconic line came up of saying, "We need to get angry, or y'all need to get angry. Get up there and basically take what's yours and try to be motivated to actually do do something, like actually do something to motivate you and be more innovative than always be like just someone who's the victim of the situation. Sadly, we are sadly like black people, or us as black people in general, we always going to half or most of the time be the victim of stuff here and there. Sadly, when it comes to society, but at the same time, Mr. Nancy, I feel like, aka the Spider God, I feel like he has a point. He had a point for keep on saying that. It's not like he was saying it just to say that, or it's some type of negative dominant thing or whatever. I feel like he did have some strong points about that. That's the same thing with if if I had to be bold enough, if you had to make like an analogy to my love of X-Men for a good example, or even like another aside from the X-Men universe, you also we can also talk about like Black Panther movie itself. Now, first of all, I'm just going to bring up X-Men since I brought that up first. X-Men, the ideology of X-Men per se. You had Magneto. For God's sake, Magneto recently only has become more of an anti-hero than someone that has been deemed or seen as a villain because of honestly past acts that he was doing where he was just destructive and he was basically just making houses. He was making big scenes, but we didn't fully understand what he was doing when making big scenes and just being angry all the time. We never understood that. The only time that we understood that was recently, and on top of that, also one comic issue to where he was close to like severely hurting Kitty Pryde, which was another mutant, and he said, and he was just thinking to himself and saying to himself that, wow, I'm trying to liberate and protect mutants, but I can't per se do that if I'm only hurting my kind or severely like damaging them one way or the other while, trying to, support my own kind. Now, why I strongly bring up Magneto is for two reasons. One, Max had had a reason to be always angry, and he still has those reasons to be angry. Whether it be his background, like I'm talking about with Master Nancy, if I had to make like a compare and contrast, he has a reason to be angry. Because for one thing, background wise, just like when I'm talking about the debut of like the Spider God himself, on being in the slave ship and motivating like black people slaves, to be more motivated to be innovative and productive one way or the other in different ways. It's the same thing with Magneto. with him and his ideology of mutants need to be more prosperous in different ways, whether it be honestly they would try well his present time like self itself. I feel like whether it be they somewhat coexist with society and trying to, like just strive, or it be his old ideology of him saying that mutants are just more superior and they need to strive than to be feared and always be hunted all the time. That was Magneto's ideology. Heck, and why I strongly bring up Mags even more is because of the fact of he's very similar to Malcolm X. A lot of black people in general see Magneto as Malcolm X in a sense, one way or the other, because Malcolm X, I wouldn't per se I wouldn't say that he was that strong of an extremist similar to Mags, but he was similar to Mags. Mags and Malcolm X are similar because of the fact of they just want their race to strive. They want their race to be honestly on that pedestal or platform to say that they're excellent. They are nothing but excellence instead of always being in fear and always instead of always being hunted and etc. They always wanted them to strive, that are always just coexist in one society versus always being afraid and hunted. Now, another like example I would like to bring up would be when I was talking about Black Panther, the movie. Now, one or two characters I'd like to bring up would be between Baku, somewhat Baku, but strongly more towards Killmonger. Not because of just the fact of most black people who are cosplayers or blurs, including myself, basically being a blurred, liked and saw the representation towards Killmonger along with T'Challa, aka Black Panther himself, and M'Baku as strong and positive like black figures. But it's just the fact of it's their ideologies as strong black figures is why I bring up Killmonger and Baku. And let me start by bringing up Baku was just one small layer. Baku, I would like to say he was similar to Killmonger, basically a black individual who is strong, has some dominance a little bit, and honestly is a capable leader in his own rights, and especially in his own part of the territory of Wakanda itself. The only thing is he just chose to be more seclusive and more on in the mountains and etc. Which honestly is a respectable thing because by the end of the day, M'Baku may have different ways of leading and have different ideologies, but at the same time, it's not like his people are not in a detrimental, like negative state. There are some ways where he could possibly do better, but other than that, it's not like he's a bad leader, though. He's still a good leader in his own right, Baku wise. Now, Killmonger as a leader and someone that has his own ideologies, I would like to say it's another example or similar to Magneto, and I would also say Mr. Nancy all over again because of the fact of to like basically Killmonger himself, I would like to say it's just the fact that he was angry. Killmonger was angry. He was angry because of the fact that it was not only just the fact that it was his backstory where he felt like he was wrong one way or the other because of just I don't know like ethnic background one way or the other he was wrong. He felt like he was wrong because in the past it was kind of confusing with him. But getting deeper into it, and my bad, that was just my computer. But getting deeper into it, it would be just the fact that basically Killmonger was strongly anchored because of the fact that he felt like American society itself was doing, like, honestly, black people wrong and Wakanda wrong as well too, especially because by the end of the day, in his backstory, aside from ethnic background being kind of confusing and Killmonger being confused whether or not he was exiled for different reasons because of his father's mistakes, but it's also the fact of the anger in American society. That's where most of his anger is coming from, and why he wanted to be a strong leader and a strong, like, black individual to take Wakanda back and put it into his ideals and his own ideologies. And his own ideology is honestly looking back to his own personal upbringing into society itself, because again, it's because of his father's mistakes. Honestly, his son had to pay for it when he was younger, and when he paid for it, like, essentially he was kind of like an outcast, not 100% an outcast, but in the sense he was kind of an outcast because he had no one but himself. And when he had no one but himself, he, I guess, basically over time, like, basically joined the army. He became a veteran, and over time, when he became a veteran and just rolled out, essentially over time, he came back to Wakanda, and that's when he came back to try to take back Wakanda in his own hands, in his own reign, and try to put in his own ideology. That's where he had the ideology of, let's honestly use Wakanda technology and honestly weaponize it more so we can back up, like, basically the military who have brothers and sisters in the military, and on top of that back them up even more by also just allowing brothers and sisters to have their own, like, way of self-defense. But aside from all that, and also, I almost forgot to bring this up too, arguably also militarizing Wakanda even more versus just having Wakanda as a neutral territory. Whereas, honestly, it's not just a territory where it's peace and they have strong productivity, but also Wakanda is a place to where it can be more of a, like, militarized type of territory. Arguably, I would like to say that was like Killmonger's envision, and I feel like that wasn't Mr. Nancy's per se envision of black people honestly taking up arms and doing whatever. No, I feel like the only way Mr. Nancy was giving black people arms in American Gods would be the fact of honestly arming them with knowledge of history itself and giving them reason as to them being angry in different ways, or just using that type of force and that type of, like, potent ideals of being motivated, of trying to be more productive and more innovative to try and succeed and try to obtain different goals in their own ways, whether it be successfully to just doing other successful goals that other black people want. Shoot, by the end of the day, when again, if I know I keep on bringing up the debut, but in his debut, honestly, the most ideal thing that those brothers and sisters on that slave ship wanted was freedom. Because by the end of the day, they were in a freaking slave ship. But aside from all that, that's just my rant. My bad for it being 20 minutes or close to 20 minutes. I ideally wanted to be like 10 minutes, but I just really wanted to, like, get deep into the topic at hand and just talk about my thoughts and emotions towards the fact that an ideal character sadly just gets fired and just taken out of a good show like American Gods, and it's being overlooked, or it could be overlooked, and it just frustrates me. But thank you for watching. Please, if you like it, please subscribe. If you like this video and others videos, thank you and bye.